The rain was relentless that night in Seattle, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. I'm Alistair, 46, an IT specialist. I loved my wife, Bronte, more than words could ever express. We'd been together for 20 years, married for 15. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, a tapestry woven with shared dreams, quiet evenings, and the comfortable rhythm of unwavering love. Or so I thought. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Bronte, a vibrant and outgoing architect, began working longer hours. Big project at the firm, Alistair, she'd say, her eyes tired but alight with professional ambition. I understood. I'd been there myself. I'd make dinner, sometimes reheat it when she finally arrived home, her apologies profuse, her kisses fleeting. Thank you, darling, you're the best. I believed her. I wanted to believe her, then came the secrecy. Her phone, once an open book, became a locked vault. She'd clutch it protectively, turning away when a notification pinged, her fingers dancing across the screen with a speed I'd never seen before. Work emails, she'd explain, a little too quickly. Confidential stuff. I shrugged it off. Trust was the bedrock of our marriage, and I was about to chip away at it with baseless suspicion. But a seed of doubt had been planted, and it began to sprout, its tendrils wrapping around my heart. The weekends, once our sacred time, became fragmented. I need to meet with clients, she'd announce, pulling on her coat. Golfing, usually, you know how it is. I did know, I trusted her, but the golf outing seemed to multiply and her explanations grew increasingly vague. I started noticing small things, a new perfume, a different style of dress, a subtle shift in her demeanor. She seemed distant, less connected to me, more preoccupied with something or someone else. The night I discovered the truth, I was working late trying to debug a particularly stubborn piece of code. My phone buzzed. It was Bronte. Don't wait up, honey. I'm staying at a hotel near the office. Big presentation tomorrow. I frowned. A hotel? That was unusual. Her office was only a 20-minute drive away. But I was tired, stressed, and didn't want to make a fuss. Okay, love, good luck with the presentation. I love you. Love you too, she texted back. The words felt hollow, devoid of the warmth they once held. I finished my work around 11 p.m. and decided to surprise her. I knew she'd be stressed, and I thought a late-night visit with some takeout might cheer her up. I drove to the hotel, a swanky downtown establishment, and asked the receptionist for Bronte's room number. I am sorry, sir, the receptionist said, her voice polite but firm. We can't give out that information. I am her husband, I explained, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. She's expecting me. The receptionist hesitated, then typed something into her computer. I am sorry, sir, she repeated. There's no one registered under that name. My blood ran cold. That's impossible, I said, my voice trembling. She said she was staying here. Bronte Davies. The receptionist checked again, her expression unchanging. I am very sorry, sir. There's no one by that name registered at this hotel. I thanked her, my mind reeling, and stumbled back to my car. Where was she? Why would she lie to me? The seed of doubt had blossomed into a poisonous flower, its petals unfurling to reveal a horrifying truth. I drove aimlessly for hours, the rain blurring the city lights. I tried calling her, but her phone went straight to voicemail. I am sorry, the person you're trying to reach is unavailable to her husband, but apparently available to someone else. The thought was like a knife twisting in my gut. Finally, around 3 a.m., I drove home, my heart heavy with dread. I walked into the house, the silence amplifying the turmoil inside me. I went to our bedroom, hoping against hope that she'd be there, that this was all a terrible misunderstanding. But the bed was empty, the sheets undisturbed. And then I saw it, a small, crumpled piece of paper on her nightstand. I picked it up, my hands shaking, and unfolded it. It was a receipt from a restaurant, a place I knew well, a romantic spot overlooking the Puget Sound. The date and time were for that evening. And scrawled across the bottom in Bronte's unmistakable handwriting were the words, "Thank you, Kellen, that was perfect." Kellen. Who the hell was Kellen? The world tilted on its axis. My wife, the woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was with someone else. She was having an affair. The realization hit me with the force of a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me, leaving me gasping for air. I sank onto the bed, the receipt clutched in my hand, and wept. I wept for the years we'd shared, for the dreams we'd made, for the future that had just been shattered into a million pieces. I wept for the love I thought we had, the love that had apparently been a lie. The next morning, Bronte came home, her face pale, her eyes red-rimmed. "Alistair," she said, her voice trembling. I need to talk to you." I stared at her, my heart a cold, hard stone in my chest. "I know," I said, my voice flat. "I know everything." She flinched as if it struck her. How did you find out?" I showed her the receipt, her face crumpled. "Oh, Alistair," she sobbed. "I am so sorry." "Sorry?" I repeated, my voice rising. "Sorry, is that all you have to say? You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around behind my back, and all you can say is sorry." She launched into a torrent of explanations, excuses, justifications. "It just happened," she said. "I didn't mean for it to. It was just a moment of weakness." "A moment of weakness that lasted for months," I retorted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "A moment of weakness that involved lies, deception, and betrayal." She told me about Kellen, a younger architect at her firm, a charismatic and ambitious man who had swept her off her feet. "He made me feel alive again," she said, her eyes pleading. "He made me feel seen." "And I didn't?" I asked, my voice cracking. "After 20 years I didn't make you feel seen." She couldn't answer. She just stood there, sobbing, her face a mask of guilt and shame. I looked at her, at the woman I had loved with all my heart, and I saw a stranger, a liar, a cheat, someone I no longer recognized. "I want you to leave," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I want you out of my house, out of my life." She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance. "I'll do anything," she cried. "I'll go to therapy, I'll quit my job, I'll do whatever it takes." But it was too late. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I couldn't forgive her. I couldn't forget what she'd done. I packed her bags, my hands trembling with anger and grief. I watched her walk out the door, her head bowed, her shoulders slumped. And as the door clicked shut behind her, I felt a profound sense of loss, but also a strange sense of relief. The pain was excruciating, but at least the charade was over. At least I knew the truth. The divorce was swift and brutal. Bronte didn't contest it. She knew she was in the wrong. She moved into an apartment downtown, and I stayed in our house, surrounded by memories, haunted by the ghost of our love. I tried to move on, to rebuild my life, but the scars of her betrayal ran deep. I couldn't trust anyone. I couldn't open myself up to love again. The thought of another woman touching me, of sharing my life with someone new, filled me with revulsion. Months turned into years. I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the predictable logic of code. I reconnected with old friends, spent time with my family, tried to fill the void that Bronte had left behind. But the emptiness remained, a constant reminder of what I had lost. Then, one day, I received a call from a private investigator. I had hired him shortly after the divorce, not to spy on Bronte, but to find out more about Kellen. I wanted to understand what had driven her to betray me, to see what kind of man she had chosen over me. The investigator had finally tracked him down. "I have some information you might find interesting, Mr. Davies," he said, his voice professional but tinged with a hint of something. "It seems Mr. Kellen has a bit of a history." I braced myself. I expected to hear about a string of broken hearts, of women used and discarded. But what the investigator told me was far more shocking. Kellen wasn't just a charismatic architect. He was a con man, a manipulator. A predator who preyed on vulnerable women, seducing them, exploiting them, and then moving on to his next victim. He had a long list of complaints and several pending lawsuits against him. He was a master of deception, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and Bronte had fallen for him. Hook, line, and sinker. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. My wife hadn't just had an affair. She had been manipulated, used, and ultimately discarded by a professional liar. I felt a surge of anger, not just at Kellen, but at Bronte. How could she have been so blind, so naive, so stupid? But then the anger faded, replaced by a wave of pity. Pity for the woman I had once loved, the woman who had thrown away everything for a fleeting moment of passion with a man who didn't care about her, a man who had only seen her as a means to an end. I decided to confront her. I called her, and to my surprise, she agreed to meet me. We met at a small cafe near her apartment, the same cafe where we had celebrated our 10th anniversary. She looked tired, worn down, her eyes devoid of the spark they once possessed. "I know about Kellen," I said, my voice calm but firm. "I know what he is." Her face paled. How did you find out? I told her about the private investigator. She started to cry. Oh, Alistair, she sobbed. I am so sorry, I was so stupid. He used me. He took everything from me. She told me how Kellen had charmed her, flattered her, made her feel like she was the only woman in the world. How he had convinced her to invest in a sure-thing business venture, a venture that had ultimately turned out to be a scam. How he had drained her bank account, maxed out her credit cards, and then disappeared without a trace. She was broke, alone, and utterly devastated. The affair had cost her everything: her marriage, her reputation, her financial security. She had lost it all. I looked at her, at the wreckage of her life, and I felt a strange mix of emotions. Anger, pity, sadness, and a flicker of something else. Not forgiveness, not exactly, but something akin to it. I realized that I no longer hated her. I no longer wanted to punish her. She had already been punished enough. I'm sorry, Bronte, I said, my voice soft. I am sorry for everything that's happened. She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Alistair, she whispered. Thank you for not hating me. I didn't stay long, I couldn't. The pain was still too raw, the memories too vivid. But as I walked away from the cafe, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. I realized that I had finally let go of the anger, the resentment, the bitterness that had consumed me for so long. I had forgiven her, not for her sake, but for my own. I never saw Bronte again. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved to another city, started a new job, and was trying to rebuild her life. I hope she succeeds. I hope she finds happiness, but I know that our story is over. We can never go back to what we were. I'm still single. I'm still wary of love, but I'm no longer defined by Bronte's betrayal. I've moved on. I've learned to trust myself again. And I know that one day I'll find someone who deserves my love, someone who will cherish it, someone who will never betray me. The rain has stopped now. The sky is clear, and as I look out over the city, I feel a sense of peace. The storm has passed, and I am finally free.